and welcome to Kudos International Latte Show. And I am your host, Dr. Supriya Kumaravelan, and I'm here again with an exciting, super awesome, and super amazing journey of a very great, talented, our guest. And if you want to know who is she, then you have to check it out this. Here she is, my adorable, honorable guest, Gina Gardiner from UK. Welcome, Gina, to our show, and it's been a loveliest, adorable, awesome time to host you on this platform of Kiddos International.
Thank you very much. It's a really great pleasure and privilege to be here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, that this show is going to be super amazing, not because we have a super amazing guest, but because of her inspiring life journey, which is going to transform millions and zillions today on this platform. People who are watching us live and those who will be watching this video later, they are going to be thrilled with so many great aspirations, inspirations. So let's begin the show without any pause. And Gina, as I said earlier, this is going to be super amazing. So without any delay, without any pause, I am so excited along with my global audience, global spectators. What is Gina's life journey and who is she? So kindly enlighten the world with your inspiring, super amazing journey.
So I was born a very long time ago. I'm 71 this month, which is a bit scary. But I was born, my parents were, my father was a teacher, my mother a dressmaker. And I went through the school system, not really feeling very comfortable, I have to say. I didn't feel as if I fitted in. We moved several times because of my dad's job. And it wasn't until I became a teacher at the age of 21 that I really found me, and I found I was very good at it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was promoted very quickly, and I was promoted to be the deputy head teacher or deputy principal of a large school at the age of 28. And I was promoted to be the catalyst for change. I was the youngest on the staff bar two, and I was really I was really engaged to be someone who was going to challenge the status quo, but to do that in a really positive way. We'd been working very hard, I and the principal, the head teacher, and then in that first February half term, I went on a skiing trip and I had a very serious ski accident. I fell about 150, 200 feet down a black diamond run.
Oh my God.
And I got back to school about 3 weeks later, but wasn't right. But I was allowed to go with the borough ski trip, and we took 150 school children to Switzerland skiing. But I definitely wasn't right. And then as the week went on, I became more and more a bit more like Quasimodo, really. I couldn't stand up straight, and I was feeling pretty ropey. And then on the last night, I said to my colleagues, I've got to go and lie down. And within a very few minutes, I found that I was paralyzed down one side. I didn't want to frighten the children, so I just had to lie there and wait until somebody came to check on me. No idea how long it was. It felt like a lifetime. The children were playing in the corridor. But when finally a member of staff came to see how I was, all hell broke loose and I was carted off to hospital. A week later, flown home by air ambulance. And it took me until the end of May to get back to school. Not feeling great. I was doing school and going home and going to bed. And was very pleased to get to the school summer holidays, thinking I've got 6 weeks to get over it. 8 days in, very early in the morning, I had a phone call from my head teacher, my principal's wife. She was hysterical. she had found the principal in bed. He'd died overnight. And so instead of it being a restful 6 weeks, I helped her plan the funeral, had to let the staff, the parents, the children know, and start preparing. So I was acting head teacher, acting principal. And then in the January 1984, I was promoted to be the head teacher. And I remained the head teacher at the school for just over 20 years. And I ran the school for the most part from a wheelchair. And there was a huge gift in that. I couldn't physically get into the classrooms. So I had to find a way of helping people take radical responsibility for their own performance and a shared responsibility for the team. It was highly successful. And the school was on the best 100 schools in the country list twice during my tenure. And, you know, I'd like to think I would have found the same approach, but I'm honest enough to know that probably I wouldn't have done. You know, there's an old saying that a necessity is the mother of invention. And I think if I had needed to find a different way, I probably wouldn't have done. But during my tenure at school, we had a terrible budget, and I wanted more special needs, and I wanted to keep up to date with technology. We were one of the first schools in England to have computers in the classrooms, but that came at a cost. So I went out and I undertook a wide range of roles, not all at the same time, but I worked for the National College of Leadership, for the London Institute, both of those as trainer facilitator. I worked as a workforce reform advisor for the government, and we were a beacon school, so I worked with hundreds of teachers and dozens of other schools to help them develop leadership, which has always been my thing. But my health was deteriorating. So in 2004, I got an ultimatum: stop working 14, 15, 16 hours a day, or you'll be housebound. And I have to say, daytime television doesn't do it for me. So I left headship and then thought, well, what am I going to do now? Who am I when I'm not being a head teacher? And what am I going to do now? And so I did a research project across industries to look at, were the issues facing insurance, finance, manufacturing, retail, health, you know, right across the range, were the issues in terms of developing emerging leaders and then developing them from emerging leaders to senior leaders, were the issues the same as we had in education? And of course, people are people, aren't they? The widgets might be different, but the issues are the same. I wrote my first couple of books, and between 2005 and 2009, I worked mainly with corporates, doing training and facilitation, coaching and mentoring. And then in the last recession, in 1 week, I lost all of my contracts, because the first thing to go in most companies when there's a recession is the training and development budget. But by this time, I was doing some visiting lecturing for Essex University Business School, and they would commission me out to go and work with SMEs. And I would work with them, always invited back, usually for something that could be avoided. So from 2009, I started to work with companies on an extended basis, companies from anything from 10 to 250 employees, anything up to about a £10 million turnover, and worked with them consistently, always with the senior leaders, sometimes with their middle management, sometimes the whole company, developing enlightened leadership, which is leadership with integrity, compassion, and the courage to do what's right rather than what's self-serving. But I had a growing sense that I had a bigger purpose. And so by 2018, that had become so uncomfortable, that feeling that I wasn't doing enough, that I started Genuinely You. And I started to plan how I was going to be available on a global scale. And so at that time, I think I had about 10 Facebook contacts and about 20 LinkedIn contacts. Didn't know how to video, didn't know so much I didn't know. And I started. And so since then, I've been working on on writing. I've got about 36, 37 books, I think now. Lots of online courses. There's a 10-month accredited course, which is a mixture of online and face-to-face. But for me, my mission is to positively impact on at least 1 million leaders within the next 2 to 3 years through the development of enlightened leadership, as I say, with integrity, compassion and courage, because I think that's what we need to move the world forward.
This is really, really an awesome, incredible, and a never give up attitude life's journey. And Jenna, I really appreciate when you said you had an accident and after that it was terrible to move on. But I salute you with my coffee, the way you moved forward in your life, because it was not at all possible for anyone, for even if I was there at your place, it was not at all possible to motivate yourself, to just motivate your soul, just hide your wounds and move forward. And I must say that really today I am hosting a very strong woman on this platform who knew only one thing: to move on, and never ever care for all the hurdles which she was facing that time. So I really appreciate your wonderful journey. And yes, you have positively impacted the society which says, yes, without this, you can't move. So you have broken that taboo that in spite of your bad health, you still can move when you have a positive determination and have a great heart to work on your dreams. So I really, really, really appreciate and hats off to you for your commendable and incredible journey. Awesome, man.
Thank you. I think it's really important to recognize it's not the challenge that defines us, it's
Yeah,
what we do with it. And so I've
very
learned
true.
to walk twice as an adult, and it's not been easy. But ultimately,
Mhm.
for me, having a strong sense of purpose is what makes the difference. It's what gets you out of
Awesome.
bed on the morning when you don't feel like it, when it's rainy and you perhaps don't feel great. But if you've got a
Right,
strong enough sense of why, then it becomes much easier.
very true, very true. So, Jenna, when you were explaining about your life journey and your challenges, but I would love to ask, have as a strong woman still, have you ever encountered any type of great challenges which really shook you up and you said, oh, how I'm gonna do this, but still you just muster your courage and move forward? So can you enlighten one more challenges which you had faced as a strong woman and how did you overcome those challenges?
There have been a lot of challenges along the way.
Yeah.
When I applied for the deputy headship, the deputy principalship, I was told not
Yeah.
to apply. They wanted a man. And in
Oh,
those days, it was legal to do that. It's not legal anymore, but it was legal in those days. And I had a decision to make. I would either take notice of being told by the then principal, we need a man, we don't want a woman. And I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. I'll apply anyway. And I think many women get caught by what they think is a glass ceiling. And actually, if you're determined enough and you want to show somebody your worth, then that glass ceiling is as much in your head as it is in reality. So I decided to apply. I was told on the day of the interview, if there's a man that measures up to you, we will appoint them. But I obviously managed to convince them that there wasn't a man that measured up. But then, of course, you've got to prove that what you say is the reality. So that acted as a spur to make sure that I was successful. So I suppose that's the first barrier that I'd like to share. I think the second barrier is when I became wheelchair bound, and my mobility was limited. The next barrier was as much mine as it was other people's. My worry was, what would people think of me? Will they take notice of me when I'm in a wheelchair rather than standing up? And of course, there are times when people will come and pat you on the head and say, would you like a sweetie? I used to give my secretary no end of amusement if we went into town. But at the same time, you can't be defined by that. So for me, it was again a spur to make my school the best it could be, to prove that my legs didn't work, but my brain and my mouth and my hands worked. I didn't need my legs in order to be a good head teacher or principal. I think also another barrier was my disability, in that, for example, I came home I've had 2 failed back surgeries, and I came home and I'd learnt to walk. It would take me 18 months to walk to the bottom of my very little garden. And then 3 months later, I ruptured another disc and found myself completely wheelchair bound again. And it's the picking yourself up. It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's, what am I going to do? And if I was at home and my carer hadn't left out a cup and hadn't filled the kettle, I couldn't make myself a drink. I was very, very limited. And so I made the decision I would go back to work. And I was back in school 4 days after I came out of hospital. I mean, the consultant 6 months later said, well, think about you going back to school a couple of hours, twice a week. And I just laughed, because I'd been part-time for 3 weeks and then full-time thereafter. But again, it goes back to, what's your motivation? I could go in and I could operate perfectly effectively, so long as I had the physical things sorted out and there were plenty of people to help. But for me, it's, what sort of attitude do you have? And for me, I've got a can-do attitude. If there's something that needs to be done or I want to do, it's, how can I make that happen, rather than these barriers are in the way? Because there's no doubt that being in a wheelchair can be really challenging at times. But if you let those challenges stop you, then your life is going to be very limited. And I think many people have a disability in that their beliefs about themselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm too young, too short, too whatever. You take those with you. But the thing with my disability is I get into my wheelchair and I zoom off, usually at high speed. I don't let it stop me. But if you have that self-doubt or that belief that you can't, you take that with you every moment of every day, because you're the common denominator. So that's the next challenge. And I'd like to share a story, if I may.
Sure.
I'd left school as a head teacher or principal, and I had done a lot more studying. So I became an NLP master practitioner, that's neuro-linguistic programming master practitioner. And I wanted to see people using it. And I went to a course run by Tony Robbins, and many of your viewers and listeners will be familiar with Anthony Robbins. He's perhaps the most well-known personal development speaker. And in the morning of that first day of Unleash the Power Within, he was talking about a program in California and I thought, oh, I really fancy that. But I dismissed it, and I dismissed it because how would I manage? I didn't have an electric travel chair in those days. Just how would it work? And so I dismissed it. That night, we did the fire walk. And for those who are unfamiliar, you walk across hot coals in bare feet. If you have got the right mindset, you don't get burnt. Now, I could walk a few steps, but I needed help. So somebody held my arm each side, and I did the fire walk, and I was absolutely thrilled to have done it. Sat back in my wheelchair, and the guy behind me was a double amputee. He had no legs below the knee. He tipped himself up onto his hands, and he walked those hot coals on his hands. Now, at that time, I was used to working all the way around the UK. I had the same driver would take me, wait for me, bring me back. But in that moment, I realized I was self-limiting. That night, I booked my ticket for the event. I booked my flight. I went off to California. I had a fabulous time, did all of this stuff with Tony Robbins, became a senior leader. I worked all around the world, and I've done that. And in part, that's because that guy taught me to always question when I'm saying no. Is it because no's the right answer, or am I self-limiting? And so my challenge to your viewers and your listeners is, How are you self-limiting because you want to stay in your comfort zone? And your comfort zone is simply a familiar zone. If you step out of your comfort zone and you do things that are unfamiliar, they become your new comfort zone.
Wow, Gina, wow. And here I would love to draw the attention of all the global spectators. Mark this beautiful line. Come out of your comfort zone, look up to your dreams. And when you are come out of your comfort zone, really, 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 you can see what you have to do in your life the same way what Jina did on that particular day. And I really appreciate once again to your inner strength, because coming out of the comfort zone, making yourself prepping up for the show, and just breaking all the dark clouds and moving on is called the real life and the real gem, Gina Gardiner. So hats off to you for this brilliant way of your great positive perception, the way you look at your life. That defines your beautiful life. Well, awesome one. Moving to this journey with Gina Gardiner with my Latte Show coffee, I would love to ask Gina next about your profession. What profession you are into and how people can leverage from your great work, your pious deeds. So kindly enlighten the world what exactly you are into.
So my work is all about personal empowerment, personal leadership. If to lead your own life, you have to take radical responsibility for your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, and your words. If you believe you're going to fail or you believe you're going to succeed, you're right. So it makes sense to have self-empowering beliefs. So my work is around leadership, but before you can lead others effectively, I believe you need to lead yourself first. You need to do that deep inner work so that you understand that you're on a lifetime's journey of learning. The best self of you today is the foundation of the best self of you moving forward. And it's an ongoing evolution of how you turn up in the world. And every action we take or not, every word we speak, how and when or not, leaves a living legacy. So for me, my work is all about helping people recognize what legacy do you want to leave. So I work with individuals. I also work with leaders of every level, from emerging to CEOs and business owners, helping them to lead themselves and then lead their organization more effectively, and to see themselves as spiritual leaders. Ultimately, we're physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings. You need the holistic package. And when you lead in that way, the profits come. But if you look purely at the profits and you forget that people are your treasure, you're going to lose out in the end. Your business won't succeed and maintain and grow that success if you don't do that. So I've written lots of books. They're all available on Amazon. There's lots of self-study courses. You can find those on my website. There's some on genuinely-you.com or Gina Gardiner associates.co.uk. There's lots of online courses that people can help themselves. I work with one-on-one. I do leadership masterclasses. I do keynote speaking. So there's lots of ways that people can work with me. And there's two things that people have said of me, which I'd like to share. One is that I see more in people than they see in themselves, and I help them identify their purpose and actually live their purpose. And the other is one of my clients likened me to half hugger and half ass kicker. So it's the giving support, but also giving the challenge, but in a loving, safe way.
This is really, really great. And once again, global spectators, global audience, the golden key is in front of you if you want to excel in the field of masterclasses, leadership, or you want to start something from your scratch. The golden key is here. Gina Gardiner, you can find her on social media. If you want to take one-to-one coaching or group coachings, and also she's a great writer, author, and her books are on Amazon. So you can buy from there and make your life meaningful, successful, and the better version of yourselves and themselves. And the world says only one thing: keep moving forward. The leadership coaching, the master key is Gina Gardiner. And here I say with full confidence, make your life meaningful, successful with Gina Gardiner, and be the Kudos International Latte Show the luckiest one. So thank you, Gina Gardner, for making others people's very interesting and inspiring with your great books. And I'm so eager to have a copy from Amazon after the show. So it's
Brilliant.
a
Thank
really a
you.
great one. Awesome one.
Thank you.
Well, this was the journey of Jina about her life journey, challenges, her work, which I am so great and glad to know about her books, about her coachings, about her leadership coaching. And now this is the time to know about us from Jina. So, Jina, anything would you like to share about Kiddos International Latte Show, or straight thing from your heart? So you can share.
I think one of the reasons I was so pleased to come on the show is because I think our work is so aligned, that this is about making a better world. It's about helping people fulfill their potential. And that's something that I know through your show and through your organization, that's something that you're very keen to do. And I think we live in very interesting times where it's time for things to change, for us to do things differently and to come from a place of heart. And I was really thrilled to see in your introduction, from my heart to yours. And I think that's so closely in tune and in line with my own work: leadership with love, leadership with kindness. And people think that might be pink and fluffy. It makes blooming good business sense apart from anything else. But for me, I think to have another organization which is truly focused on helping people be the best version of themselves and to work together in the best possible way, nothing could be better. And so, yeah, I feel truly privileged to be part of this.
Thank you so very much, Jina, for elevating, motivating us, because we also need some motivation to work hard, to go forward in life. So thank you so much, with much gratitude.
Oh,
All right.
it's my pleasure.
Well, Jina, as I say, learning is a continuous journey, and we have arrived at the end, but it is never an ending process, because we are going to learn from a learning journey which is continuous. And now this is the time for our kiddos latte, some exciting firework rapid fire round, which is my favorite and my guest favorite too. So, Jina, are you ready for this? Because
I'm
I'm
ready
so
for
super
this. Yes,
excited.
I'm ready.
All right. So for this exciting round, Jenna, I will be asking a set of questions and you are going to answer promptly for that. What is Jenna's
Okay.
favorite cuisine?
Oh, I like Italian food, I have to say. Mediterranean, but Italian. That would be my favorite.
Awesome, great one. What's your favorite color?
Green, because it's
Awesome,
part of the
very
natural
great.
world. Yeah. You're
Awesome,
you're
great.
perfectly in tune with my favorite color.
Oh, great one. All right, your favorite coffee?
Um, I actually like a latte. I quite like a latte. I have one every day.
Oh, great. Oh, this is too good. All right, your favorite dream destination?
Oh, for me, the dream destination is to go to somewhere different each time. There's so many places on the bucket list. I want to go to India. I want to go to New
Wow.
Zealand. I have traveled widely, but there's lots and lots of places still left on my destination list, but always to go to somewhere new.
Awesome. Your one favorite quotation which really motivates you?
I think the quotation that springs to mind more than any is Einstein's definition of madness, which is to keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And we all do it. We do it harder, more frequently, and we expect it to be different. And I think that ultimately, it's getting the balance between not giving up too quickly, but also recognizing there's an old saying which saying, don't flog a dead horse. And ultimately it's knowing that if you want a different result, then it's time to do something differently. And very
Awesome.
often that requires you to step out of your comfort zone and do something that's unfamiliar.
Last but not the least, what is Gina's favorite perfume?
Oh, I like Estee Lauder Beauty.
Wow, that's my favorite too.
Oh, right. It's lovely. Yes.
Yeah, very nice. All right, so thank you so much for playing this beautiful round and asking and answering all the questions very promptly and very beautifully. And I loved all your answers. So, once again, Gina, thank you so much for coming to our show and inspiring. Trust me, your life journey has inspired even me today because I always used to think if health will be in a problem, what shall I do? But you have given me all the answers in spite of being not healthy. Besides being facing multiple challenges in your health issues, you still move forward, and that's the life story of Gina Gardiner, which is going to motivate and which has motivated today millions and zillions. So much gratitude, and God bless you to all your upcoming shows, events, and lots of success from our side.
Thank
Thank you,
you
Gina.
very much. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, global spectators and audiences, for always cheering us, supporting us, motivating us. Keep doing that. Till then, stay happy, hail and hearty. Bye bye for now.